You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Feel like you never have enough time for anything anymore? Well, it's not just our lot as a working mum to sacrifice all of our time for everybody else. So tune in today to hear the 4 strategies for streamlining your life to take back control of your time with my very special guest, Lisa Twohig. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. We've been conditioned to think that as busy mums, we've got to sacrifice everything in our lives to give our family, our kids especially, the life that they really want to live. But today's special guest is here to challenge that belief and bust through those myths that we never have enough time for anything, especially not ourselves. Lisa Twohig is my guest today, and she is the founder of the Time Trainer Academy. She's an expert in productivity and time management, but she is also a busy working mum, and she knows that strict rules and structures just don't work in a family environment. So she's here to share with us 4 of her success strategies and how she's been able to streamline her life and gain back control of her time so that she can spend it doing the things that she most wants to do. Without further ado, let me play this interview for you, and I'll link up all of Lisa's details in the show notes so that you can find out a bit more about her after the episode. Training your time. Now, you might be thinking, what does that even mean? And Lisa is going to tell us all about it. But essentially, for us working mums, time is so precious. And I think it's really common that a lot of us are feeling like we don't have enough time for anything, especially the things that we probably most want to be doing. Maybe it's our business, maybe it's an activity, some part of our life. And Lisa is going to share with us some strategies that we can use to gain more time back. So I'm very excited about this interview today. Please feel free to drop us a comment if you would like to ask a question, because I'm more than happy to take questions as well. But Lisa, welcome. How are you?
Hi, Jess. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. So can you give us the proper intro to who you are and what you do, and then we'll get started into your 4 strategies.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks very much for having me. It's a real pleasure to join you on this. And yeah, I'm really excited to share with you a bit about what I've experienced in the last few years, really, both as a professional person in the workplace, professional woman, but also a mother in the workplace, and some of the strategies that I've used to make sure that my life is as fun as I've always wanted it to be. And, I just really felt that there's such a expectation on working women these days that they tick so many boxes, and I decided to take my life by the reins and create the life that I wanted rather than what other people wanted me to be. So yeah, I'm going to share that with you today.
Fantastic. So empowering and inspiring. So tell us a bit about your business, what it is that you do and who you work with, and then I'd love you to share your first strategy with us.
Sure. So I'm helping busy working mums, particularly those who have their own businesses or their side hustles, to find the time in their life to grow those businesses, to spend more time on them, but without jeopardizing their family commitments or their relationships with their partners and their children. It's just that balance, really, the work-life balance that we all struggle with quite, a lot these days. That's what I like to do.
Fantastic. Awesome. Okay, so we're ready for the first strategy. Can you tell us what that is?
I will, but I'm going to do a little bit of a teaser first because I don't want to launch straight into it. So it's just to say that I know what you guys are going through. If you are a busy mum and you're just rushing around, you're trying to do everything for everybody. You might have small toddlers or babies. You may have teenagers like I do, but every minute of every day just seems so full, and there just doesn't ever seem to be enough time to do the things that you want to do. So, perhaps you're running your own business and you're working from home. I know a lot of you that work with Jess or perhaps on this page might be in that situation. Or, maybe you've got your side hustle that you're trying to, branch out into the world. Maybe you're even contemplating doing Jess's, her workshops and her training, if you're not doing already, and you're just finding that there isn't quite enough space in your day to do that. So it's really difficult, and I completely understand, but I'm here to tell you that there is a way that you can do it, and you don't need to declutter your entire life like Marie Kondo. There's no need for doing that. You may do a little bit here and there, but you don't need to have this perfect life. I definitely don't. And I've managed to do, loads of things. So just to let you know, why am I qualified to actually speak about this? And I think really I've had 20 years as a project team manager, so I've been managing big teams of women and men, and they're kind of like a crazy family, I suppose, at the end of the day. You've got some people who are really enthusiastic and keen but have got absolutely no idea what they're doing, such as toddlers. You may have your teenagers. You may have your teenagers on the other hand, like I do at the moment. But they're the kind of work experience guys who they kind of think they're a bit cool for everything, and they're not really that keen on taking advice from people. And it's all about massaging and managing those people in your team. So that's my background. I'm also, as I said before, a part-time working mum. Still happily married, I'm glad to say. And my two boys, they're not in prison yet. So I'm considering that a success, quite frankly. So yeah, and just, quickly to rush through, what I've also done is when my kids were really young, I managed to find the time to launch into an amazing new hobby, which then led me on to starting up a side hustle. And I even won a national dance competition on that whole new hobby basis. It was incredible. So yeah, now I'm in the position of having started up my own business, so I can tell you it is possible to do the things you want to do. You don't have to kill yourself in the process, and you don't have to organize your husband or your partner into a box to do it. So there is hope.
Yeah, I think that's so important, because I think a lot of us are, we're probably just winging it through life a bit at the moment, especially we've got homeschooling that's been thrown in, and, potentially routines that we had have become even more stretched and strange. And it's like that. You kind of, we're just going day to day or week to week, and we're trying to do everything and achieve everything. And, still feeling like there's that thing that I really want to get to, even if it's reading a book. I mean, gosh, when was the last time I read a book? And it's just because, there are those things there, the thought, like, I really want to do that, but I'm not actually doing any action to allow myself to do it, because, like I said, I think I'm just winging it through life. So I'm really keen to hear about what you've got to share with us on that. And, the fact that you've done that at work and also at home with your kids just shows you that you've been able to walk the talk of having the time to do it.
That's great. And I love the thing you say about winging it, because I'll tell you a secret. I'm still winging it, and I'm winging it every day. And that's the beauty of my strategies that I will share with you, is there isn't a prescriptive way to do everything. You completely design this up to, it's up to you. This is your life. You are the architect of your life. You get to design it. You have more choices than you think. I think there's a lot of people who think there's so many rules and regulations and expectations around them that forces them into this place that they don't want to be in. And that really isn't at the end of the day. I think that's probably for me what I've always known, is that I'm the boss of me. If I want to do something, then I will make it happen. I'm not going to break any laws, but at the end of the day, you can design it to suit you and your family. I think that's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I like that, because I'm definitely someone who likes to not have too many rules and restrictions. And I think trying to place rules on myself would result in me failing to actually achieve what I want to achieve. I'd fight against my own rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, you'll do that. I do anyway. But yeah, that's a lovely segue into my first strategy, which is the number one strategy I have, is to break down your barriers. When I say break down your barriers, what do I mean by that? Well, I think of it like, when you were younger, or maybe you've watched the Olympics, you used to watch these sports people, these women and men on the 100-meter track, and they had a bunch of hurdles in front of them. And you see them, leaping over these hurdles, and they got this beautiful streamline shape, but every now and again, somebody just crashes into the hurdle, or someone trips over the hurdle, someone, whacks the hurdle out the way. And I kind of think of the barriers that we're putting in front of ourselves sometimes are a bit like that. So I've called them time hurdles. And they may be physical barriers for you. They may be things like, oh, well, I need to take, the kids swimming for 2 hours on a Monday afternoon. Or they may be something actually which is more of a mindset thing, which is a bit more about what I focus on in this particular section. So these are the things that you feel you should have to do, the things that you feel you need to do. It's all the weight of everybody's expectations and your own expectations as well on top of that. And I think that's what you touched on before, Jess, was, piling all these things on top of each other. You do tend to box yourself in, and it feels really suffocating and restricting. And then you can't find a way out. And that's, I think, what I try to do in the program that I have developed. It's called Time Trainer, if anyone's interested. And it's really about exploring those barriers, those time hurdles, and just saying to ourselves, who's expecting me to be the perfect mum? Who's expecting me to sacrifice everything, to sacrifice my health and my time and my mind in bringing up my family? Who's really saying that? Is it from my mum? What was she doing when she was bringing us up? Am I just replicating what she's doing and it doesn't quite fit our family? Do I have to do this in this particular way? Who's telling me I should be doing that? So there's all these kind of layers of the mindset that we have to go through to just realize, well, actually, as I said before, there's fewer rules than we think. And we have more choice than we can imagine. It's amazing, the opportunities we have to make up our own rules. And once you start doing that, it just opens up a whole world of excitement as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think that's such a big one. And I feel like us women in particular, we're very aware of other people and what other people are doing, and reflecting that into what we're doing, and sort of judging ourselves and comparing. Like we're really great at doing that, and I think that's probably part of the problem as well. Like as you were talking, I was thinking, gosh, I probably think of, for my kids, I want to give them such a great childhood and all of these activities that, I should enroll them in this and I should enroll them in that, and I want to give them, it's from the opportunity I see for them and the excitement. But then you think, well, what's that then doing to our life and our day, and how much stress we're having, because then we've got so many commitments that we're locked into. But like you say, it's a choice, isn't it? And maybe that's something that I've been doing without realizing, is stacking our family so full that it's out of balance.
And that's a perfect example of how much we want for our families, but why do we feel we have to have it all right now? Do you see what I mean? It's that, well, do you know what? Some of the most amazing things that I've ever done in my life have been after I left my family. They were, when I went traveling, or, when I decided to join a new club that did scuba diving, or whatever it was. There were so many things that I felt, do you know what? This is new for me. I don't feel like I've been pushed into it by my family. This was my choice to do this. And it just suddenly felt that I'd been given a lot more autonomy, really, in how I lived my life. And sometimes I think we're so excited for our children and what they could achieve that we sometimes overload them and ourselves with all of the things that we should achieve. And then realise, actually, we just run out of time. We're all exhausted and we've had enough. We're just going to have a little lie down in the corner.
So true.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So really, so the end. I mean, just to break down, just to get to the end of this particular section, it's just really that, you know, if you're finding reasons or excuses that are keeping you in this space where you haven't got time, you don't feel like you have the time, or you don't feel confident enough to go to that place where you have the time, you'll never get there. You just need to really work on your mindset to begin with, and just believe that, you know, you're worth having the time, that you and your family are on an equal footing with everybody else. You shouldn't have to sacrifice yourself as a mother to make sure everyone else in your life is having a wonderful time and you're feeling a bit miserable about the whole thing. You know, I don't believe in that at all. So I think that for me is probably the sort of foundation of what I like to teach in my Time Trainer program.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy, I think, to slip into that, you know, and you start getting feelings of resentment, I think, when you're doing everything for everyone else and then not getting anything that's really for you back.
That's
or
right.
Getting anything in. So yes, so important. And I know when you have those feelings where you are achieving the things you want and still others are getting, it feels so much better, doesn't it? Like you can just have that really good feeling of contentment and balance. And
it's amazing. And one of the key things that I've learned, and it was a bit of a sort of light bulb moment for me just recently, even though I've been doing this for many, many years, when I snuck in from my I do pole fitness, and every single time I go, I just come back completely like, oh my gosh, I had the most amazing day. I managed to nail this trick, and, you know, I feel so strong and I feel so great. And as I walked through the front door, I was like, hi, everyone. I heard my 12-year-old son say to his brother, they were like doing something in the bedroom, God knows what, but I heard him say to him, don't you just love it when mummy goes to her class? Because she always comes back so happy. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's just enormous.
Amazing.
That's so wow. You know, I'm not only am I doing things that I need to do for myself to keep myself happy, I'm making my kids happy, I'm making my husband happy because I'm a happier person. And do you know, the biggest thing as well is that I'm teaching them that parents do not need to sacrifice themselves for their children. We're all deserving of having time to ourselves. We all need to have things and passions and hobbies and adventures that we want to do. It's not all about the kids at the end of the day.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, wow. What a great story. Really, well, hopefully we get to that point one day when my kids think the same.
Oh, sorry, sooner rather than later, hopefully. So this leads me on to the second strategy then, and very nicely, you know, we've been talking about building a team in your family, and my second strategy is form your family team. Now this is something which I haven't really seen a lot of, to be honest. I think there's a lot of focus on how the woman or the mother needs to be the person who is organising everything, doing everything, and it's up to her to manage her time and to manage everyone else's time, and it's her responsibility to make sure that everything is working and going well. And that just made me think, was like, well, why is that? You know, don't we all have responsibility in our family unit to do those things as well? So this is why I developed this concept of form your family team. So if you're thinking, what on earth is a family team? Well, it's really the immediate family that you're living with day to day. So you may have different circumstances. You know, you may have a partner, you may not have a partner, you may have maybe a step partner involved and they live in a different house, but it's really the people that you're having those engagements with every single day, and you're really there for each other. So why do you need one? Well, these guys are like the teams that you have at work. You know, they're really great teams where you've gone and achieved loads of things and it's been brilliant. So these are the guys who are your biggest cheerleaders. They get in the trenches with you when it's all going horribly wrong, and you help each other out. You see each other through the good and the bad. You're there supporting each other. And I find, especially as being a CEO of a business or being on your own in the workplace, it can get incredibly lonely, and you do need people to support you. You need people that have your back, that you can have a good old chat with about how things are going and where we want them to go. And for me, that is just so important to have that. And to have that as your family team it's been the crux of my success, to be honest, over the last 14 to 20 years since I've had a husband, partner, and then had kids.
Wow, yeah. I think this concept is something that may feel quite new, especially because we're kind of brought up in this society where it feels like you've got to be, like there's so many memes out there. The woman, you've got to, if you're a working mum, you've got to act like you don't have kids. And if you're, I can't remember how it goes now, but it's sort of like you've got to be everything. You've got to be the mum, the worker. You've got to work as if you haven't
got kids. Yes.
Yeah. And then it's like we kind of take it all on ourselves, and we might have the house, maybe our husbands have been, maybe they're the primary earner in the house, and maybe they take out a lot of time away. So you might be also working part-time and trying to help with all the kids, but generally, even when both parents are working, I think that there's still often a bit of a balance, more in the favor of the mum taking on more of the responsibility. And like having that concept of your actual family being a team together and actually being a shared responsibility and shared load. I think it's something quite different and new that most of us probably wouldn't have even thought about, and thought, well, what are the roles in our team right now? Like, what role am I playing? What role are the others playing?
Sure.
And how is that? How could we make it better for everybody or different?
Yeah, and for me, it really hit home when I learned that 20% of marriages end within the first 5 years. And I just thought, whoa, that is huge. But you can understand why, because that tends to be the time when, a lot of us we've just got married, we've just had 2 children, we've got a baby and a toddler, and it just feels like there's so much going on, and quite often the woman is taking on the burden of that role, not just the physical load, but the mental load as well. And that resentment, the layers of the resentment can really build up in relationships if the partner's not pulling their weight. And that's been the biggest thing that I hear. Whenever I used to go out to my mum's groups or chat to women in the park, I would hear, my husband, my partner doesn't understand. He doesn't support me. He just doesn't help enough. It's like having a 3rd child. And, that's the messaging that I was kept on hearing all the time was this kind of negativity towards the partner. And I just thought, well, there has to be a better way than this. We're not in 1950s anymore. My mum was very much subservient to my father, and I just always looked at them thinking, what's going on here? Learn to cook, man. He'd boil the water, boiling an egg, and it was just, you just like burn it dry, and it was like, oh, seriously, you just can't boil an egg? This is terrible. And so, despite my background, I grew up thinking, no, we're going to be equal in this. This is, no matter what our circumstances, I'd really love to be equal in this relationship. And I'm not saying it's perfect, far from it. It's sort of a evolving thing whereby I've watched and seen the responses I've been getting to some things, or the interactions that we've had, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to have a conversation with my husband about this again, because it feels like we're slipping back into 1950s territory. So it's not something that once you've formed your family team, that's it, brilliant, it's all going to work fine. You really do need to work at it. But the benefits are just so amazing. The fact that you see each other as equals, and that both of your, desires and your fears are just as important. It's wonderful. It makes such a difference.
Yeah. So would it be, for example, something like, I guess in our household, so I leave my husband to be in charge of the kids' soccer, registering them, knowing what's going on with the team, where the games are at. I take pretty much no part in it, apart from turning up or
That's
like
great.
I go along with them. But yeah, I'm like, that's your thing to organise, and I've done the same thing with knitters this year and a few of those, because I think, you know, I've always said to them, you've got no idea. Would you even know when the immunisations are due? Would you know what they need to have? Would you know when they've been to the dentist last? Would you know anything? Like, I can't do it all. I can't do all the activities, all of the healthcare. You know, which,
and it's just a thinking about it as well, isn't it?
He's just like, will swan through life otherwise and be like, oh, these things just happen with the kids and it's all lovely, and I just turn up and I'm fun dad, and I'm like, I'm not fun mum, because I'm like, I'm just stressed. There's so much going on.
I want to be fun mum too. Yeah, so true. And I think as your kids get older, you know, you'll find that actually they're more clever and they're more capable than you think, because they know how to manipulate you as a mum. I've had it so many times when the kid's like, oh, Mummy, I can't do it. Can you help me? I'm like, no, you know you can do it perfectly well. I've asked you to do it. Please go and do it now. And they're like, oh, all right then. They will test your boundaries. But, you know, as you grow as a family, I think this is the thing that's given me so much joy, actually, watching my kids become more independent. You know, laying the boundaries for them to just say, well, no, you're perfectly, and this is something I use actually with my teenager now, when he comes to me like, oh, I've got this problem, oh my goodness, and I say, I have trust in you, you're a bright kid, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And then I walk away and I don't fix his problems anymore. I try and like step back and just give him that freedom to work it out himself, and realize that, you know, I'm not there to sort everything out and do everything out. He's perfectly capable of doing it himself, and I'm there if it all goes badly wrong or he needs a bit of help. But, you know, I have faith in him that he can do it, and he steps up to that as well, which has been amazing.
Yeah, it's so good when you see them do that. Yeah, I have the same thing going on with my son, I think, at the moment, where he doesn't often believe in himself. And so I'm trying to really coach him that, you know, even if you don't know how to do something, just think, what's the first step? You know, what would I do first, or what would I try first?
Yeah.
And, you know, really trying to help him do it without feeling like he needs us.
That's right.
But I think I'm a little bit the same as you with how I view my household. And I'll say to my kids, even though they're only 7 and 4, I'm like, you guys need to empty the dishwasher if you want to do this thing that you want. And, you know, I've got I don't mind how they do it, what they do, as long as they're doing something to help and that they're learning. You know, they're part of the family, and they're making a mess, they're tidying it up.
Absolutely. No, and I think that really stands them in good stead for when they leave home. You know, effectively, at the end of the day, our job as parents is to create the next generation of adults in the workplace, partners, and, you know, husbands and wives. And, you know, if we do a good job and we give them that confidence that they can work as a team with their families, then I think that's a pretty good thing, isn't it? It can't be bad.
And so, bringing this back to, I guess, us as working mums, when we have this family team in place, what does that bring for us? What does that mean?
So, I mean, for instance, I'll give a really simple example. One of the things that I know bugs people no end is having to create packed lunches. It just, you know, there's so much to do. It seems like such a simple thing, but it's just so annoying, and to have to do it every day, it just drives everyone insane, quite frankly. So as soon as I could, I got my kids to make their own packed lunches. And to be frank, you know, they're not the best packed lunches, but I shove them full of vegetables at the end of the day, so it's not all bad. But at least they're not going to take their packed lunch that I've made them, which has got all the, you know, the beautiful organic, you know, pureed this, that, and the other, and they go and chuck it in the bin, because that's kind of what kids do half the time as well. And it's not only an incredible waste of food, but of my time as well. So I said to them, I said, well, if you want to have packed lunches rather than the disgusting school dinners like they had in England, I said, you have to make them. You have to tell me what you need. So when I go shopping, I put it on the shopping list. Then you have to make it yourself. And then you have to tidy up. And then you have to pack everything away at the end of the day. And
Wow.
once I had done that, and they were pretty young at this stage. They were like, 7 and 8 at this stage. And they went, oh, okay, so can we have this in our packed lunch? Just maybe, once a week, maybe. Oh, can we have this? Oh, yeah, that's fine. And so it was more of a, as a team, we can figure this out together. And not only that, but you've then just offloaded one of the things that your kids can do off your plate completely. And suddenly you've got all this time left. Oh, brilliant. I can use that to, do whatever it is, answer that email that I need to go and do, or, go and sort out that stuff I need to do before I go to work. So, it really opens up your life to have more time for you as well.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Awesome.
And just on this one, the last thing I just wanted to say on this particular strategy was a lot of what I found about having your family team has come from when I was quite into my career. I was 30 years old, and I attended a workshop where they did personality testing. And you might be thinking, oh, goodness me, personality testing, that just is such a load of rubbish. I don't like being pigeonholed. Do you know what? It was the single most amazing experience of my life, in that previously I couldn't understand why people didn't get me, why I felt a little bit different to everybody else, and it just didn't feel like I could communicate with them like I thought I should be able to. I thought about things differently, and I just thought suddenly it all made sense. And I know you like doing your personality tests, don't you, Jess? It's opens up so many thoughts about how you not only communicate with people, but how they communicate back to you, and how they are as people as well.
Yeah, it's really funny because I think on this a lot. Coming from the corporate days, I don't even know how many personality tests I have done back in that time. Certainly had done all of the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs. I've done them all in those years that I spent there. And I never really connected with them. I always sort of got the result and I was like, really, is that me? And I couldn't see the connection. I couldn't actually see myself in the outcome. And I was always a bit like, I'm not sure about that. And since I started my business, and I guess I don't know what it was. Is it because I've become a mum? I've got better self-awareness, or able to see myself from the outside or differently. I don't know what changed, but doing them now, it's so insightful. I find that they are what they are for a reason. So if you're not getting an answer that feels right, it could probably be down to how you've answered the questions. And so I said to my husband, you'll do this test, but make sure you're answering it as if you don't have a job and you don't have things that are making you be not your actual natural self. Like imagine that you've just on permanent holiday and you're on a desert island, you've got no commitments, and then answer it, because
I always say that, act as if you've got no filter.
Yes, and it just gives you so much insight into your own strengths, the different types of people, and the fact that we're not all the same. So when we come at something, we tend to think everybody sees it the same way we do, which is obviously not the case at all. And I love having that, well, what other way could I see this? What's the other perspective on it? Or how many other perspectives might I look at this with? Because it's just such a great way to be able to, connect with people, understand them, resolving conflict, because if we keep on thinking it's my way, this is the only way to see it, well, you're going to end up in that yes-no argument that your kids have. One saying, it's mine, I had it first, it's mine, I had it first. I'm like, yes, you're both right. No one's going to win this. There is no win. That's not how you resolve this. You might come up with a negotiation. Negotiating, well, how about you have it and then I'll have it, or something else. Yes, it definitely is interesting. But personality tests, I agree, very, very useful.
Yeah, they're amazing. And then, this is the thing that I go much deeper into in my program, the Time Trainer. So I talk about, knowing yourself, really understanding what drives you, what motivates you, and then have a look at the most important next person in your family that isn't your kids. So that may be your partner, that you may not have a partner, you may have like a best friend or something that you can do this sort of exercise with, or it may just be, it could be even be like a mentor at work or someone like that, or somebody you used to know at work. But to have someone who you can really throw ideas around about how you are as a person, and maybe then you can have a think about, well, how do I interact with people and what do they think back? So one of the things that I've noticed right from the word go is that my husband and I are actually incredibly different people. We've got very different, sort of fundamental personalities, but the values that we have are very similar. So we talk a lot about what your family values are in Time Trainer, and to make sure that you both, if you have a partner, that you both have the agreed values that you're going to take forward as your family, and that you try and adhere to for the, as long as you can, until they serve you no longer, and then you can change them if you want to. But I think for me, we have a family motto almost of, adventure and fun and respect and ease. So we feel that as long as we're doing and having all of those things, and everything points towards those things, we're living a great life. And that's just purely personal from our perspective. You may have a completely different set of values, and that's totally fine. That's wonderful. And it's being able to then have those conversations and communicate that with each other, so that you all have that common understanding of what it is that you want out of your family life together.
Yeah, definitely. So important.
Cool. So it really leads on to the next thing, because the strategy number 3 is to gather your support crew. Now, you may not have heard this term before, but this is more like a village. So this village that you keep hearing about that's supposed to help raise your children with you doesn't seem to exist at the moment, does it? So yeah, to me, what my village is it's anyone who's outside of that family unit that form part of your social group. It can be your parents, it can be your in-laws, maybe your kids' teachers, your friends, mum friends, or your bosses, colleagues, your neighbour. Could even be your sports coach. If you've got somebody who is your instructor at the gym, it could be them. It's all of those people that help you and your family do the things that you do and that you need to do and that you want to do in your life. I am actually going to include people like your cleaner and a plumber and electrician and all of those other people that you might hire in if you have the means to do it, if you don't like doing that sort of thing yourself. Everybody who you have come into your home and help you out with anything, then they're part of your support crew. They're your village. These are the people that will help you not have to do absolutely everything yourself, because you really don't need to do everything yourself. There are so many people out there that not only can help us, but want to help us. I think we've kind of lost that. We've lost that sense of community, haven't we?
And I was just thinking there, like, especially reflecting on myself, I probably say to myself a bit of a non-truth. Like I say, we don't have any support, which is not true. I mean, yeah, we don't have grandparents that are living right where we are. But we have so many. When you look at that list that you just gave of who are included in the support crew, well, okay, we don't have the grandparents around or any family apart from us. That's okay. But we've got so many wonderful friends. There's people in the sports clubs and teams, and just so many people who we know in our community and broader, that we do have people around. We do have a support crew. It's just that I've been saying I don't have any. So I've actually been telling myself, it's a complete untruth.
It's not true.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, wow, actually, it feels good. I do have a support crew.
and not only that, but you can be part of someone else's support team. You can be part of their village. And who doesn't like to be asked to help out every now and again with, would you mind taking, my son to soccer training tonight? I'm more than happy to do that, because I know that they'll totally repay the favour later on when I'm in a bit of a bind and I have to, race out the door to do something else. And I think people, especially women, they feel like it's a bit of a knock to their, egos maybe. It's not a comfortable place to be to ask for help. Whereas I kind of think of it as, well, I'm the project manager here of my team, my family team. As a project manager at work, I do not do everything myself. I am the laziest project manager in the world. I used to nickname myself as that. I'd never tell anyone, but I knew I was. I didn't want to do everything myself. For a start, I knew that I didn't have the skills to do everything really well. I didn't have the time and I didn't have the energy. And also there are people out there who are much better at it sometimes than you are. They can do it quicker. They can do it fast, better than you can. And yeah, you may have to pay them some money, but at the end of the day, if you wanted to hire a cleaner in to spend 2 hours a week doing your, floors and your toilets and your kitchen surfaces, then they're probably earning a lot less than you would earn if you were to, try and make more money in your business doing that. So I'm very much for, not only recognizing where you need that support crew, but where you want that support crew as well. Where, where you feel like, actually, do you know what? It's not serving me much to continue doing all of this stuff for everybody. How about I ask if some other people are able to help out, and then I can offer, in return to do some stuff for them. So I think we need to get more comfortable with being in that position where, we offer help and we receive help as well. I know it's really hard, but once you start doing it, then everyone's expectations change, and they realize that they can ask for help and offer it as well. And slowly the dynamic starts to change between you and your friend group, especially. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think, I've always been someone that's ultra like very capable. No, it's fine, I can do it all. I'm like, and I think it's just recognizing and realizing when it's okay to say, hey, maybe I don't feel like I totally need it, but that's lovely, and I might accept the offer of help. I think back to when I had my first baby, and I had friends who, they're offering to pick up stuff from the supermarket for me and all these things, and I kept on declining because I was like, I don't need you to. I'm fine, I can do it. I'm like, I don't need the help. But I don't know why. Now that I look back, I'm like, why didn't I just let them help me? Because it wasn't so much about that. It wasn't the fact that they didn't think I could do it. It was actually that they were just trying to be a support and, repaid maybe some of the favors. I know I babysat some of their kids for them in the past, and maybe it was just, I look back now and think, if I had my time again, I would accept all of that.
Absolutely. And, for instance, the other day, we've literally just moved to the neighbourhood, and I quite, we instantly made friends with the lady next door, just very high level friendships in terms of, I speak to her maybe once a week just over the fence. But I suddenly realised I hadn't put the bins out when we'd gone away for the weekend. And so I just quickly messaged her, would you mind doing that? And she was more than thrilled to do it. And then we had a little catch up afterwards, when we got back. And it really strengthens those relationships, because it doesn't feel like, we're all in our corner. We're kind of merging into other people's spaces, and it all just becomes a lot easier and it flows a lot better.
And the burden is less, isn't it, when you know that you've got people who've got your back.
That's right. So what we do in Time Trainer is we delve much deeper into this again. I absolutely recognise that for some people, they may have difficult relationships with some of the people that are supposed to be in their village. You may not get on with your in-laws, maybe. There may be some bosses or colleagues who are being particularly unhelpful in your situation. And we sort of talk through that, and we try and find strategies, to manage that and make it work for you, really, so that you can live the life that you and your family really want to.
Fantastic. Sounds really good. Okay, so what's strategy number 4?
Strategy number 4, this is I'm hoping this is probably one you've not heard of before as well. So this is my frame your future. So what this is very much based on one of my values, and our values as a family is, let's just make things easy for ourselves. I'm not in for hard work if I don't need to. I don't have a ton of willpower. I'm not one of those people who are super, super organized. If I can make it easy for myself, then I will do. So the Frame Your Future is just about really recognizing that parenthood especially comes in a number of phases. We have babies and toddlers, and then they grow up, and then they're preschoolers, and then they go to, junior school and high school, and then they hopefully at some point fly the nest. I'm going to miss them, but so it's really understanding that our life is with children is a bit like a nature ecosystem, really. And amongst all of that, we're doing these different things. We are trying to be a great mum, and we've also got businesses to run. We've also got side hustles that we want to create, also hobbies that we want to do. And what I found is if I apply the permaculture principle to my life, it just seems to flow a lot better. And I don't know if you're aware of what permaculture is, but it was this dude, David Holmgren, in the 70s, who was really into sustainable living. He was a bit of a tree hugger, and I'm all for tree huggers because I've actually got a background in environmental management. I did a master's in it. So, I love all of that stuff. I love all the eco-friendly stuff. I'm totally on board with all of that. So I just thought, well, this permaculture principle is all about working with nature as opposed to against it. And what you do is you observe what's going on. You have a look at all the different systems that are going on. You see how they evolve, and then you just make it easy to manage. So, for example, if I have, if I have a garden and I want to grow some vegetables, I'm going to make it easy on myself. I'm not going to put the things that I use every day, like the lettuce and the herbs, I'm not going to put those right at the back of the plot. I'm going to put them right near the front of the house. The things that need watering, I'm not going to have them miles away from the hose pipe. I'm going to put them right where the water container is, so I can make it easy on myself. So once I decided that that was the principle that I was going to follow, then I thought about it in terms of parenthood. And I started looking around and thinking, well, are we making it easy for ourselves to have the time in our lives that we need to? Every stage of your family life is going to be quite different. And is there a way that we can create that foundation where we just don't need to think about certain things anymore? We just set the structure up, and then we just get on with it and let it flow. So for me, that was very much about making sure that we were looking forward to what our lives were going to be in the next 4 years, the next 6 years, really drilling down to the specifics of where I think I'm going to be working, where my husband might be working, where my kids are going to go to school or to kindy or high school. Also things like, well, what are we going to be doing as a family on a day-to-day basis? Do we want to be near a park, for instance? Am I going to be spending all my life after school with the kids at the park? And once you start designing your life around the phases of your parenthood, then suddenly it releases so much extra time. And I found particularly that the time I was used to spend commuting, we'd just managed to decrease that. I actually combined my commute with the cycle ride. So not only did I bang out my fitness goals for the week, but I got to have a nice cycle ride, enjoy the environment, and I didn't have to go to the gym when I got home. And it actually probably took just as much time door to door than it would have done to get on the train,
Yeah.
So
yes,
I think
that's a good one.
I think it's more the concept that you actually, as a family, you have a lot more control over your life and how and where you live it than you think you might do. And my program really takes you into, what sort of stage of your family are you at? Where do you see yourself going? How can you start to design that life to make it really suit you as, for you and your family? And just make it easy on yourself. We don't need to make this hard. It can be easy.
Yes, yeah, I love that. That's very much in tune with, I think, how I like to think about things, and some of the decisions that we've definitely made in our where we live and all of that has been about convenience as well in life. So is that going to be a long commute? Are we going to be near the things that we want to be near? And it does make a huge difference. I've done the commute from the place where I really want to live to my work, and after spending, it was like a 2 hour each way, so often 4 hours a day. You're doing it 5 days a week.
It's not worth it, is it?
It's not worth it. It's not. And I said that to my husband, it's like, well, we're not going to do that anymore. I refuse to commute. And that just meant that we changed where we lived, and that was okay. And then we decided, well, what is it that we really want in that new place? And, I think that you've hit the nail on the head. And when you have kids, there's so many other things that you want to incorporate into that. And I 100% agree with, thinking about how easy is it to just walk out of the house and be somewhere, walk somewhere, like what's actually around. For us, I don't like crossing great big roads with loads and loads of cars and traffic. That to me is like a mental barrier. So it'd be like, oh, there's a nice park, but to get there, I've got to go down and cross over this great big dirty road, and it just doesn't feel like a nice walk. So I would actually not want to go there because I'd have to do that walk. Yeah. So it's like thinking about that type of thing, isn't it? Where what makes sense and where do you want to live, so that you can access the stuff that you want to without it being hard. And
that's right.
And
I think, and the easier you make it on yourself as well, the easier, and the easier for your kids. So for instance, we are living in a suburb, we're in a particular part of a suburb that isn't our first choice, but we sat down as a family and we decided that rather than my kids get the bus to school, so we could live in the suburb we wanted to, it would be better for us as a family that they could walk to school. And the reason for that was because we knew that they were going to have early morning starts with their sports clubs, and it's that single one element that would have just made such a difference to my time, because I don't want to be ferrying them around at 6 o'clock in the morning to all their stuff. If they can get up and do it themselves, that's brilliant. So we're not living in our perfect house, but it suits us for now perfectly. And that's my motto. Doesn't have to be perfect, but is it perfect for us right now? And I think
does it give you that circle of the balance and the fulfillment? Because even if you were living in that dream suburb, that frustration, the extra time that you're having every single day, does it make it worth it? Would you even be happier living there, or would you be happier living where you are?
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's so important. It's a really great point that you've made. I love that.
And it's completely up to you as well. If you value other things over time, then that's great. Live in the suburb that you want to. That's a bit more difficult to get to work. That's absolutely fine. That's your prerogative to do that. That's great. But for me, my time equaled money. My time equaled my sanity. It just made me feel that I was more in control of what I did, rather than the constant chaos that seems to be my life when I'm a parent. And I think, if we're business owners, if we start equating time with money, then it just makes so much more sense to spend that time to set up your structures, spend that time to set up those foundations, to make your life easier, to get in that help, to take the time to train up your children to do some of those tasks that secretly they can do, they just don't want to do it. And just to really create that sort of that team around you that will support not just you, but support everyone in your family to be able to grow and to thrive.
So we've just talked about the 4 strategies of my Time Trainer program. I'm just going to break them down for you again. So number 1 was the break down the barriers, and we talked about the time hurdles. Number 2 was to form your family team. I spoke about the family values you have and how you communicate within your family. Third strategy was to gather your support crew. So we talked about who's in your village, who are the other people that form part of your extended team, I suppose. Fourth and the last one was frame your future. And that was about the permaculture principle. So essentially, making life easy for yourself, setting up your systems and your lifestyle so that it gave you access to more time much more easily.
Fantastic. Thank you. And so these are 4 strategies, but I think that you actually have a few more up your sleeve as well, don't you?
I do, that's right. I've actually got 7 strategies, and I'm not going to go into the other 3 now, but it's really, I do appreciate that some of the things I've talked about today are a bit more on the fluffy side for some people, but actually in reality, I'm very action orientated. And for those of you who are similar to me, who are organized or who like to have a plan, we've got you covered in that as well, because in my program Time Trainer, we actually have a real life step-by-step practical actions that take you through what it is that you need to do in your life with your family, in your situation. And you'll get from feeling like you never have enough time to do what it is that you want to be doing, to just having the right amount of time for you to focus on the specific things that will allow you and your career or your business or your side hustle, will allow you time for those things to grow and for you to thrive.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I think the key thing for me, particularly when talking to your group, Jess, is what does that associate with? Essentially, we are spending time to make time, spending a bit of time up front to create the time for ourselves in the future. And, what does that mean for us business owners? It means that we can have that time to go out and do more marketing. It means we can go and try and get more clients. We can produce more content, and we can make more money at the end of the day. So, yeah,
such a smart investment. Time is the one thing that is finite. You don't get to do it again. We don't get to wind the clock back and have that time again. So investing in gaining more time is what I would call a real CEO mindset move. Like, you're actually taking action to have more control of your life so that you can spend your time on the things that are more valuable and not be spending time on things that are less valuable for you.
Absolutely. And we cover a lot of that in the Time Trainer program. So yeah, that's right up my alley.
So tell us a little bit about the Time Trainer, and if anyone's interested, how they can find out a bit more about it.
Yeah, so it's an 8-week online group program, and you have weekly live calls with me. It's with me, it's not with anyone else, and I will actually be there in person with you. Obviously, I'll be able to upload those. If you can't quite make that time, then they will be available afterwards. But after you've completed the course, essentially what you'll have is a roadmap, like a plan that will give you that pathway to having that sustainable work-life balance, or a work-life-work balance that a lot of us have at the moment. And that will create the time for you to not only be able to make more money in your businesses, but to have fun with your family, because we're not here on earth just to make ourselves money, are we? We want to have a bit of fun along the way. No,
that's right. Yeah, work and money is so that we can have fun, not the other way around, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in looking at Time Trainer, then it's on my website, which is www.lisatcoaching.com, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Lisa T Coaching.
Excellent. And I will hook up those links in the show notes as well, so you can just click through and find out more about Lisa and her Time Trainer program, which sounds just so incredibly valuable for all of us working mums. So thank you so much for sharing all of that really valuable strategies. The 4 strategies you shared today, I thought, certainly gave me some things to think about. And the fact that there's 3 more as well, and you put them all together into a roadmap, it sounds like there's a lot of value to get from investing a bit of time in getting more time back. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you for your time in coming here and sharing that with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
So if you would like to improve the marketing of your business, then the first place we always start is with your ideal customer avatar. Now, my system for your ideal client is different to most. With my ultimate customer avatar worksheet, there are 35 questions to help you really deep dive into what your ideal client is currently thinking, feeling, and what their goals are, what they're doing in their buying behavior. Go to jessicaosborne.com/customer-avatar to download your free copy of my Ultimate Customer Avatar Worksheet today. And let's get started on defining who that ideal client really is.